What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Damn, I'm on a roll. Been putting out a lot of videos. I finally have some spare downtime where I can really get into it like I want to. Talk about a lot of good things in boxing, which is good. That's always a good thing in the sport of boxing. Keeps it active, keeps it alive, keeps the forums open. We get to talk about a lot of good stuff. And there's a lot of different things making noise in the sport of boxing. And I wanted to talk about Adrian, the Problem Broner, and Marcos Maidana. Now, I've talked about him. They have a fight coming up. It was supposed to be on Showtime pay-per-view, but I guess Golden Boy reassessed the situation, probably due to poor feedback. And it's right around the holidays, so I would have paid it just because I'm a boxing fan. But at the same time, if I can save some money, 64.95 or 59.99 or whatever they were going to charge for it, I would definitely like to do it, especially around the holiday season. And both fighters are good fighters. I enjoy watching both their fights, and I think I've tuned into all of both Broner and Maidana's recent fights. I've probably seen all their fights that were televised, to be honest. And um, they're both good fighters. They both bring excitement to the ring. Marcos Maidana is more or less the silent killer type. Adrian Broner is the loudmouth, showboat, in your face, flamboyant style. So it's a good contrast of styles, and I just want to see it. But both fighters aren't really pay-per-view certified. They've been on undercards. Marcos Maidana fought Eric Morales on the pay-per-view headlining event, I believe. I believe that was pay-per-view. But he's never really just headlined his own. He's a cult favorite, kind of like a Lucas Matisse, or now even maybe a Ruslan Provodnikov, where people just like to see them. They like to see these fighters, and that's what the sport needs, the variance and the different styles. But as far as this matchup, I'm really looking forward to it. Broner, his last test, he moved up 2 weight classes, and he fought Paulie Malignaggi. He didn't necessarily live up to all of the trash talk and everything that led up. It was a solid performance. I think he looked convincing enough in beating Paulie Malignaggi where he won. But Paulie Malignaggi held his own early in the fight. Paulie was kind of dictating the price or dictating the pace, bringing it to Broner, throwing a high volume of punches. He showed his boxing IQ. And Broner didn't look that good. It looked like it took a minute for Broner early to get set up and to get started. I guess he wasn't maybe anticipating Paulie being as slippery as he was. So it was a good fight. I've only watched it one time. I got to watch it again. But this is a different dynamic. And for those of you guys who are comparing Broner and Malignaggi to Marcos Maidana and Broner, I really question your methods because that's 2 different fights. Like in almost every single dynamic that I can think of in boxing, Marcos Maidana and Malignaggi are different, from the frame to the style of fight to their age. I mean, I don't think they really have one similarity other than the fact that they both have been on Showtime or something. Malignaggi, where he's exceeds, is his brain. He's a good boxer. He can box. He can move. His jab is superb. He's always been throughout his career, maybe slowing down a little bit, but he's always been pretty quick, both with his feet and his hands. And he has that ring IQ, not much punching power. Where Marcos Maidana excels is he has a chin, and his overall ability to get you into a brawl and being a power puncher. Those are really his dynamics. That's what makes him a tough opponent, that he keeps coming. He keeps coming. So if you don't hurt him or give him a reason to stop coming or frustrate him like maybe Devin Alexander did, then you're going to be in for a tough night and you're going to have your hands full with him. So as far as Malignaggi and Broner and Maidana, I really don't see any comparison that you can make as far as Malignaggi and Maidana. I think their whole MO is completely different. Just the punching power alone is different. So Paulie Malignaggi is not a fighter with tremendous punching power. We all know that. But Marcos Maidana is. Marcos Maidana is not he's improving with the tutelage of Robert Garcia, but he's not this all-out Pernell Whitaker, very ring savvy and light on his feet type of fighter. It's not him. He's pretty slow. He's pretty sluggish. But where he excels is the ability to fucking hurt you. He hits hard, and he's working on his technique, but he's not as fundamentally sound and savvy as a guy like Paulie Malignaggi. So just dead those comparisons because they really don't make any sense. And then furthermore, aside from the contrast of styles, Marcos Maidana and Paulie Malignaggi, aside from that, um, that was Broner's first performance at welterweight. So you got to give the man slack. I mean, I know he talks and he runs his mouth, and a lot of you want to see him get knocked out. He's eating strippers' booties or whatever the fuck he does, unprotected sex, whatever wild, crazy shit he's been doing. I understand that. I get that. But you got to separate the sport from antics and outside and gimmicks and all kinds of stuff like that. But in the fight game, you got to give him credit for moving up 2 weight classes to fight a seasoned veteran who was also the title holder. He had the belt and he had defended the belt against Pablo Cesar Cano. And you got to give him credit for that. Moving up 2 weight classes is not something anyone can do and look great. We've seen other people move up in weight and then they didn't look good, or they got stopped, or had to go back down in weight. So the fact that he is staying at welterweight and facing probably one of the hardest punchers in the welterweight division, you got to give the man props. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he'll never take this type of fight, or he won't take that fight." Between Marcos Maidana and Keith Thurman, they're probably in the, I mean, they're probably the top three. I don't know because I never got hit by them, but I would say they're probably in the top three tough, hard punchers that have fought at 147 before. Currently fighting. I'm not talking about all time or no dumb shit. So I know you guys like to try to catch me up, but you're not going to do it. So I'm not talking about all time welterweights. I'm talking about current active fighters with a name, to the point where a fight like Broner and Maidana makes sense. Not no fucking, yeah, I know fucking Tony 2 times from the block and he hits hard. Like, I don't give a fuck about that because I don't know him. But yeah, I mean, you would definitely put probably like a Marcos Maidana, Pacquiao, and a Keith Thurman in that top 3 list at welterweight. If not, who would you put? Let me know in the comments who you would put. So props to Broner for taking on a tough for his second test. That's a contrast for your ass. Malignaggi, very stealthy, tricky, slippery, deceptive even with his speed and his jab. He sets things up and sets you up for traps. Now he's going against an all-out war type of fighter with punching power. So I get it. Broner is very gimmicky with his antics and all that extra stuff. If that catches up to him, that's his bad, and that's what he gets for not taking the sport seriously. But some people just refuse to give him any level of credit. They're like, "Oh, he fights bums," or he fights a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's fighting the weakest champion, the weak link champion," who they were calling Paulie Malignaggi, that because Paulie Malignaggi doesn't have any punching power. And Paulie Malignaggi had a tough competitive fight with him. Now all of a sudden he's fighting Maidana, and some people still don't give him props. So I really don't understand what the fuck do you want from him, aside from him to calm down and tone down all things not related to boxing as a skill set, boxing as an athletic sport. Aside from those things, what do you want him to do? Who do you want him to face? Like, I really don't understand. It sounds like some of you guys just have this hatred for Adrian Broner. And based on what he does, I can understand that aspect. But you got to give the man credit for what he does do right. If you're quick to point out what he's doing wrong, give him credit for what he is doing right. And I think going in against a top 3 dangerous puncher, welterweight, has to be commended. You have to give him props for that. I don't see how you can't. It's up to Marcos Maidana to make it the fight that he wants to make it, and we'll see if Broner gets his chin tested, or we'll see if he makes it look like easy work. But this is what both fighters had to say. Marcos Maidana said this: "Whether Broner has the guts to stand in front of me or if he runs, I'll definitely go for the KO, and either way I'm leaving the ring with that belt." This is what Broner had to say about Marcos Maidana. "Maidana is one-dimensional and not in my league. Watch me light him up like a Christmas tree on December 14th. So realistically, I'm really glad this fight is taking place. It's a shut him up fight. One person is going to have to shut up after this, and we'll see who it is. Marcos Maidana is not really talking too much shit that I've seen, but they both have written and issued statements. Excuse me. So we'll see who cashes in on those checks. I really want to see fireworks. It's a good, solid card. You got Keith Thurman on it, which could be a setup for a future potential matchup with Broner and Keith Thurman. I would love to see that fight as well, especially if Broner looks spectacular against Marcos Maidana. And hey, Marcos Maidana, I'm a hell of a fan of his. He's a tremendous puncher. And I want to see if he can get Broner in deep waters and see what happens. And if Broner does look spectacular and beats him spectacularly or stops him, then what will you say? Will you finally give Broner props for it? I give Marcos Maidana props if he beats Broner. So it works both ways. I'm a fair critic. Let me know what you guys think. Adrian Broner versus Marcos Maidana. Who do you think will win, and who do you want to see win? Sometimes those aren't the same thing. Sometimes you think so and so will win, but you want to see the other person win. So leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.